Hey, everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Get your pen and paper, get your girlfriends, go get your favorite evening beverage because we are here again with the Envision Me show, the show where we're here to empower and inspire you to go after your what's next, no matter what. Now, everyone's always asking me, well, what's the no matter what? Well, have you ever thought about climbing the corporate ladder, but you just don't know how to do it? Or have you had your eye on another job but you again don't have the motivation or inspiration or just don't have the tools to do it? Or better yet, are you like you want to start your own business, but you're on the fence? If that is you or you know somebody, join us here as we talk about all those and many more topics. And we're here to get you over that what if and I can't hump. Now, I'm always starting off, if you're new, I'm gonna give you a hint. We always have three little things to do before I bring my guests on. So the first one is I already said to go grab your girlfriend and girlfriends. Two, it's Win Wednesday. What is your win for this week? I love to celebrate the small wins because if you talk about the small wins, then it's inevitable for you to reach the bigger goal, right? And I love to celebrate. So drop it in the feed. Let us know what your win is for this week. And then lastly, okay, I'm working on it, y'all. I'm working on the health journey. But tell me, what is your go-to snack for the evening? Or what are you eating right now? Just drop it in the feed and let us know. So today I have a two-parter. I don't know if you caught us before, where we had talked about the mindset and shifting the mindset. But then my guest also talks about leadership. And I think it's important for us to talk about leadership because I feel that as I'm looking around, as I'm moving in a different way, I notice leadership is not what it used to be. I think we need to get focused and start coming back to what leadership was and move forward on it. So I'm going to bring a guest on who that is her expertise on leadership and how we can incorporate it into our day-to-day life and how we can even get some mentoring into effect. So without further ado, let me bring on my guest. Hello, lady. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
Good. So in 1 minute, tell everybody about yourself.
Absolutely. So, hello again, everyone. I am Angeline Kapoor. I am the founder of Oversight Global, and we are on a mission to address the consciousness crisis in the world, one brilliant soul at a time. So, originally, I came from a long career in the healthcare industry. Half that time I spent in leadership and management roles, and about 2019, I made a huge pivot and got into coaching because that was my passion: coaching, mentoring, and training my staff members. So I decided to focus on that and got into leadership coaching, and I've been doing that ever since. So here I am.
Oh my goodness, I think that this is right up the alley. So if we can get started with the question, because look, I already told you I got my questions. So real quick, can you share a personal experience where you witnessed leader significantly impacted someone's potential, and what was a lesson drawn from that?
I think the most memorable kind of observations of leaders I saw impact people were those who impacted me. The mentors and coaches that I've had in my life that really helped me to believe in myself when I didn't. Who saw my potential before I even did. And so, those are the most impactful. Usually, and I always do this, like when I'm doing these types of interviews and, going through the different types of questions, I always go back to something that a mentor said to me that still, is part of who I am today, helps me to get through the challenges and obstacles that I still experience on a daily basis. So I think those are, some of the most impactful, leaders I've had in my life that, have shared with me little tidbits and insights that I still utilize today that, where several years ago they shared that with me. Or I remember, again, how they made me feel, helped me to believe in myself, helped me to recognize my potential, because they saw it in me before I even did. And so, yeah, those are the moments.
Oh, that is. Oh, that just gives me chills because that means that they really valued you. They see
Hmm.
true value. And I too experienced that. And I'll never forget my first true supervisor who's seeing my potential. And she kept asking me, okay, what are we doing next? What are we doing next? And that now looking back on it, because I never understood it until now. Okay,
Hmm.
now. But it really makes you feel like, wow, okay. I see now why she did it. And
Hmm.
see how it impacted me, which have left a really impact in my life. It actually left an imprint because now I know, okay, what am I looking for now as I move forward? So then let's talk about that. When you move, as you are moving through to your new adventure, your new amazing life. And
Hmm.
so as you're doing that, do you always, I guess maybe this is me, when you come across these people, are you always looking at them like, do they think of me the same way? Or do they think of me, or do they value me differently? And then if they do value me differently, do you change your perspective on them, or do you just keep moving forward?
I think I've grown to the point to where I just kind of keep moving forward. I was in a season where I was worried about what other people were thinking of me, but now I've kind of grown in my confidence enough and developed in my confidence enough to where it doesn't matter to me. I'm like, just going with the confidence that I have in myself, and I'm just, keep going.
I like that. So let's go back to mentorship. And I think it's mentor. So I'm always looking for a good mentor. But
Mhm.
how important is mentorship, and what are some best practices in establishing a mentor and a mentee relationship?
Yeah, so I have to be honest with you that, when I first started in my healthcare management career, I was
Mhm.
one of those people who I thought I had to do it alone. I thought that I had this perception that, if I reached out and asked for help or had to seek support, that somehow I was, telling people, conveying that I was weak or that I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't want them to have that type of image of me. So it took me years to figure out that asking for help and asking for support is actually a strength.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I mean, it was a huge shift in my mindset and my mentality and looking at that. And I really wish that's one of the things, looking back on my journey that I wish I had figured out sooner, because I feel like if I had done that and gotten to that point to where, I really was asking for help and had mentors surrounding me, I would have gone so much faster in my
Mm.
growth and in my journey. So that's something that I had wished I'd done. And, something that I talk to, especially ladies, I don't know where we kind of get this idea that we have to do everything alone. But we don't. And in fact, as humans, we're built to be connected and do things together and support one another. And so, that's one of the things that I'd love to convey to those watching is that, get out there and get support. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It is not a weakness. There's nothing wrong with doing it. In fact, to me, it shows intelligence,
Mm.
that you have gotten to a point to where, okay, you've kind of gone as far as you can on your own. And now you recognize that you need, somebody's help. You need that support. And so, in terms of the mentor mentee kind of relationship, definitely looking for somebody who is in a place that you want to get to. They've gone through those challenges, they've gone through those obstacles to get to where you are aspiring to be. And so they have that experience and they can talk to you and teach you about, different strategies and give you tips on how to be able to maneuver through things a lot faster than they did. And so, yeah, I mean, for somebody who's looking for a mentor, that's what I tend to look at. And in terms of being a mentee, really being open minded and being coachable. Really being open to hearing somebody's experience and their tips and ideas that they might have, but really making sure that you filter that through, your own value system and what resonates with you. Not everything that everybody recommends to you is something that you're going to be comfortable doing or that really aligns with who you are. But, usually all the ideas that you get from people will kind of trigger something,
Mhm.
so you can kind of take what you will from different people and then make that your own, and do that in your own unique way.
I love that. I think that is so important. But let's say now I did get a question, so bear with me. That's why I'm looking over here. I have my phone and the iPad going.
No worries.
So someone that says, okay, well, where do I find a mentee? If I don't talk to people that if I'm not in a group that is motivating me, where do I even start to go look for a mentee? I think that's a great question.
That is a great question. And I mean, that's one of I think the benefits of social media today is that we have so many ways of finding groups of people that are like-minded that we didn't have before. Before social media, we had to get up, get in our cars and go drive somewhere. And you never, unless you had the knowledge of where these different types of groups were, you really, that wasn't always easy to do. But with social media, I think it's easier, going to Facebook and finding groups of like-minded people, who are trying to that are trying to do things that you are aspiring to do, are facing challenges, similar challenges to what you're facing, and having that network and group of people to support you. Also, there's so many organizations out there, like for business owners, there's SCORE. And they have chapters in various cities in every state. That's actually one of the places that I wish I had discovered very early on in my entrepreneurial career, because they do some amazing things with free
Mhm.
mentorship and free workshop series and stuff like that. So, there's all kinds of different organizations and places out there. LinkedIn is another great one for career and business. There's different people out there, there's groups, there's newsletters that you can sign up for. So, just I think, kind of just, depending on what it is that you're looking for, and just recognizing that there are different types of resources that you have available. And also, just ask. If there's people in your circle who, might have access to somebody who, is doing what you want to do, and or something like that, then, ask if your network knows of anybody, because you'll be surprised that just how resourceful your network is as well.
I agree. So two other organizations that I would also like to add to, as you've given some great ones, is also ECDI.
Mhm.
Here, ECDI is really good. It's actually focusing on women and it helps women with their business. So ECDI is really good. And the Chamber of Commerce
Yes.
is good. Oh my goodness. Here in Columbus, I think we have, I don't know how many different divisions of it, but that is another great source to find a mentor. Let's shift a little bit now, as we talked about the mentor and the mentee. But now let's talk about leadership. And I
Mhm.
see the leadership, and maybe it's just me. So let's talk about it. Do you see the shift in the different styles of leadership, or is it just me and I'm just looking back in the past?
No, I mean, I think, leadership, especially in the workplace and in corporate, is always evolving and shifting. And especially, the last few years have been
Mhm.
really volatile, and, has really been a time of some drastic changes. So no, I don't think you're crazy.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. It has changed so much. And, back in the day, I remember leadership was set up where, okay, they would talk to you and groom you and groom you for the next. And here now, it's like you have to fight, you have to show it. And I think that's where I think that's due to, and I'm sure it's all due to the change of times and also COVID. COVID has
Mhm.
changed a lot of the leadership styles. With it, in talking about the leadership styles, and I know there's thousands of them, but what are the top three types of leadership styles that you see going on currently right now?
Currently, there's a lot of authoritative type style.
Yes.
Even you could even take it as far as dictatorship.
Mhm.
Because yeah, because I mean, like you were saying, the days where leaders would really sit down and talk to you, and they really were serving their team members, and that's really how it should be, is being a servant to those who you have in your charge, and making sure that they have the resources and the training and everything that they need and everything. But yeah, definitely throughout the last few years, maybe even the last couple of decades, leadership has changed more to people being more of bosses rather than what I would consider leaders. They really just kind of sit at their desks and, kind of demand and point and click and kind of, task people with things without really giving them any idea of why they're doing it. And there's not really this feeling of camaraderie and really a team moving towards a goal together and things
Yeah,
like that. It's to me, it feels very kind of choppy and isolated,
it does.
if you will. And so yeah, we definitely have some work in getting back to leadership that's really beneficial for everybody. I think a big part of that is that with the changing times with COVID, social media, technology, the rapid changes in technology, I think play a big part in that. And just the business expectations of companies, how they're trying to keep up and with all the rapid changes. But to me, that's not an excuse for lacking in the proper leadership training and preparation. And that's actually the driving force that had me pivot into coaching, is that I wanted to address that gap of leadership training and preparation and ongoing development that I saw was no longer there, that really needed to be there. Because people in leadership positions in the workplace, I mean, they have a lot of responsibility, but also their impact is huge. And so if you have leaders that don't necessarily know what they're doing or are effective in their position, they're not just affecting their team or their department, they're affecting your whole business and community, depending on what your business is. So
I agree. I think and I think teaming has lost.
yeah.
The teaming aspect. I think that's what I was thinking of. The teaming. I really love the teaming aspect of
Hmm.
everybody worked as a team, and
Yeah.
it's not you. It's we're all working on the greater good, and we know the end result, and how do we get to it. So there, say for instance, there is someone out there like, well, I want to get my team back to that way. How
Hmm.
would be the first thing that you would suggest for them to do?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that, I think that workplace leaders who are struggling and trying to get back to that, feeling of everybody kind of being a team, like you're saying, and working together and things like that is, first of all, you need to earn trust. And the way that you're going to do that is to start building relationships. And you start building relationships by generally wanting to get to know people. So it's not like, the running down the hall with your coffee and your bag in hand and kind of, everybody you see, oh, good morning, how are you? And then not waiting for them to answer you. you know, it's genuinely, stopping, looking people in the eyes and saying, hey, how's your day? How was your weekend? Just generally wanting to get to know people again. And, like I said, with technology and social media, that's like, I mean, our attention spans are 3 seconds long, but it's like getting back to stopping, being present, and genuinely connecting with another person.
And I agree with you. Now, I like we were talking about leadership in the workplace, but let's shift it a little bit. Let's talk
Mhm.
about leadership as an entrepreneur. Now,
Okay.
I've really seen that area is where a lot of entrepreneurs are missing the mark on what is it to be a leader. Just because you have a business does not make you, and I say this all the time, just because you have a business does not make you a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that being said, how do we get how do, or what is something that you would suggest for someone that's listening to them, like, you're right, I need to work on my leadership as a entrepreneur. What would you tell them?
Well, it's kind of interesting because, I run into a lot of entrepreneurs that, because they are solopreneurs, they don't think they need to lead. They're like, well, I don't have a team, so I don't need to lead anybody. And so I'm like, no, 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 no. If you have a business and you and your business are out there impacting anybody in any way, you need to know how to lead. And
Right.
so that's one of the things that I share with them is that just because you're a solopreneur and you're doing your business all by yourself, if you're impacting another person, you are a leader. And in fact, I even expand that to everyday living. If even if you're not a leader in the workplace, you don't hold a leadership position in your community, or different things that you're doing, you are still responsible for leading yourself and in your own life. And so, that's really what I talk to people is that, when I started my coaching journey, I did focus just on, career and being a leader in the professional realm. But then as I started working with my clients and we started expanding more on like work-life balance, I started to recognize that, leadership is actually applicable to all areas of our life. You are a leader at home, to your family, to your children. And again, if you are in a position where you have any impact at all on even one single person, you need leadership skills.
Okay, you've hit that right on the head there. It's so true. But you know what? That is true. And so we have someone who just asked us, you're right, but where do we go get some leadership skill training at? What would you suggest to them?
You need to call me. No, I mean, in all seriousness, yes, I am available to help and guide and support you. But really it is, you being curious, if you start to have that bug of, okay, Angelique's kind of hit a nerve and now I want to, really look into and dive into my leadership skills. I mean, there's different ways that you can do it. There's, again, with technology, we have so many things available to us nowadays. You can start looking on YouTube. There's some great thought leaders out there in the realm of leadership that are wonderful to follow. John C. Maxwell, Tony Robbins, just to name a couple, Mel Robbins. You can follow people like that and just start watching their videos. There's also books that you can pick up on leadership. There's, literally, I think billions of leadership books out there. I've written 2 of them. And so, yeah. And then again, if it's something that you're really serious about diving into and exploring more for yourself, there are thousands of leadership coaches out there. And like I mentioned, including myself.
Absolutely. So say someone were like, okay, you're my perfect person. I feel the vibe in. How can they connect with you?
Yeah, so the best way would be to go to my website, which is scrolling at the bottom of your screen there, oversightglobal.com. And you'll see various buttons all throughout my website that will allow you to schedule a call with me. So yes, please, if you want to explore more about possibly working with me, hop on my website and schedule a call, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, that would be perfect place to start, you all. Like I said, we're here about empowering you. And what way to empower you is through leadership. And leadership, and you're right, I'm with you. I've heard so many people's like, well, I don't need it because I'm a solopreneur. You need it more than anybody, more than the corporate people, because
Exactly.
you, right? You're representing your own self and your own brand versus the big giants. They have all these people representing. So I think that she is the perfect person to get you going on your leadership, to help you with your leadership styles, help you figure out what your leadership. That was me first and foremost. There's thousands of different styles of leadership. So meeting with her, finding out what your leadership style and how it can be used, not just as a solopreneur, but also, as she stated, in your day-to-day life, is so important because we're missing it, and we need to swing it back through and swing it back to what we used to do, so we can get to work on whatever your what's next is. And I think that is important.
Yes, absolutely.
So with that being said, we're going to shift a little bit, and we always talk about today is Win Wednesday. If you didn't hear me as you were in the back in the green room, so what is your win for this week?
Oh my goodness. My week has been so blessed already. I have a lot of wins. I've been on phone calls with various women talking about my new coaching program and learning about them, and moving on conversations to the next level of doing some strategy sessions. So yeah, those are definitely wins. I'm big about finding those people out there who I'm meant to serve, and so it's I don't mean it as a win necessarily for me, but it's a win for them too.
Mhm.
They've stepped out of their comfort zone to hop on a call with me, and or stepping further out of their comfort zone to go to the next level with me. And so that is them investing in themselves, wanting to move from where they're at to where they want to be. And so again, not necessarily a win for me, but for those ladies.
It is good. I agree with you. My win is stepping out of the comfort zone, and
Mm,
I had to really step back and say, okay, how long are we going to keep operating in the past?
mm.
And then the next question I'm on, and this is me talking to myself. You guys, I talk to myself every day. You can ask every night, and I'm always asking, okay, and then I'm like, well, how's it working? Everyone's always like, well, who cares? Well, okay, so is it working? If it's not working, it's time to move over and let's try to do something different. So I have started working on being honest with myself, but also holding myself accountable. And then the other one is being consistent. It could have been so easy, though I wouldn't have, so easy not to show up today here, but I showed up and again, I'm like you, I've been having back to back since 3. I've been off since 3:30, and my day has not slowed down. And after we get off here, it still doesn't slow down. I have another meeting. But being
Mhm.
consistent and staying in, being true to me is one huge win, because again, it could have been easy, like, oh no, or yeah, you're right, I'll just do it. No, I'm holding myself accountable, and what I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do it. So you're absolutely right. Being for you is the most important thing.
And I love that you mentioned that even though nobody's watching, you still have integrity.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're still staying consistent and being accountable, even if nobody's there, because it's easy to say, "Psh, nobody's here. I'll just slough off and do whatever." But
mhm,
yeah, you have that integrity to keep going. So awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. So one thing we also here, I also talk about book on the shelf.
Mhm.
I love to read. I love to read. We've talked about this so many times in our show. But let's talk about your book. So tell everybody about your books and where they can get them from.
Yeah. So I have two of them out, and they are both on mindset. So the original one was written in 2021, and it's Mindset, the Power of the Mind. And that one is really more of a kind of general kind of introduction to mindset, as really me testing the waters as an author and, publishing my first book. So yeah, that's more of a general take on mindset, explaining what it is, where it came from, all that fun stuff. And then my second book that came out in 2023 is more of a methodology to mindset. It's called Leader Mindset Activation. And so that is really focused on helping workplace leaders not just manage, but be visionary leaders. And so, yeah, those are the books, and you can find them on Amazon. They're also both on Audible if you like to listen more than you like to read. So, yeah, that's what they are. And Leader Mindset Activation actually won a International Impact Book Award last year. So very
Oh,
proud of that one.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank
That is
you.
awesome. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you.
As you are such a busy woman, such a busy and very busy. What do you do for your own self-care for you?
So I don't know if we talked about this last time. Maybe we did, but two things in the beginning of my self-discovery and transformational journey really impacted me in being very critical to my transformation. And it was discovering about mindset, which we talked about last time, and also, being intentional with having an empowering morning routine. I since have expanded it to a whole day routine, but that was, at that time, it helped me to recognize that I could be intentional in control of my day and how my day went, and not letting other people and circumstances dictate my day. And so, yeah, I actually, have an all day routine. Starts as soon as I open up my eyes in the morning, and it consists of, getting some movement and exercise, doing some journaling, also doing some energy work, and making sure that I eat, healthy meals and things like that. And then every hour, I actually set an hourly alarm on my cell phone, and every time it goes off, I stop whatever I'm doing. I close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths. I do some stretching if I need to. Sometimes I'll get up and walk around. And then I do a gratitude practice. I just very quickly list off a few things that I'm grateful for that happened in the last hour. And then I focus myself on what I want to accomplish in the next hour. And that's something that I just added on this past year. And I'm finding it very powerful and very helpful. So.
Do you know that last practice that you talked about where you take a moment and write down your gratitude? I had a guest last week. His name was Andrew. That's exactly what he does. He
Mm,
does that every day, and he does it. And then he also thinks he has a win every day, and
mhm.
he's recognized his win. So that, I love that practice. And I told him I'm going to start. So I've been putting it on my phone to remind me just to stop for a moment and be, what am I grateful for that, at that time. And I
Exactly.
love this. So I'm working on that. That is something that I have incorporated in my day, and it gives me an alarm, and I just say, what am I grateful for? And I think about it, because we move so quickly, and life has moved so quickly. I mean, not to bring anything religious up, but just like the Pope, he was out here Saturday,
Right?
going,
Yeah.
and then had since passed. Then,
Yep.
so you don't know. So to be grateful. And they even said that he had taken time to himself for the last couple of days. He knew, they said he sensed something, and so he
Mm,
took time to himself and wrote letters. But I think that is powerful, because that reminds you to take time for you and be in tune to you. So I like that you do, and being intentional. That's the
mhm.
hard part, being intentional about it. So that I have the alarm on my clock, on my phone, to do it. And I do it in the middle of the day. The beginning of the day, we're going to work on. I'm going to work on it. I do take time and pray, but the journaling, I normally have to wait a couple hours, and my mind will be like, okay, we can talk about this, we can talk about that, and then I'll move. I do journaling. I love journaling. It's just not at the beginning of the day, but I do
Mhm.
that. So with that being said, our time again has gone by so
Oh,
fast. Oh my
yeah,
God.
seriously.
We do. I told you I could talk all day. I love the topic, and I love having you as a great guest. Before we shut it down, what would you like to leave the followers with?
Mm. I think I want to leave them with this thought on self leadership. So, like I mentioned, it all starts with you. And again, it doesn't matter if you have or don't have some sort of a leadership title in the workplace or in your community, maybe in your church, whatever. At the very minimum, you are a leader to yourself and your own life, and how you love yourself, how you take care of yourself. Everything starts with you. Relationships, leadership, everything starts with you. And so, really kind of keep that in mind, is that it all starts with you. It all starts from within. And then if, you find yourself being responsible for other people, the effectiveness, the quality of how you're able to lead them or care for them is going to be dependent on how you're doing that for yourself. So I'll leave that with you guys.
I think that is amazing. Again, real quick, how can they connect with you if they wanted to?
Yeah, again, the easiest way is going to my website, oversightglobal.com, which is scrolling down on your screen right now. You will find everything, being able to connect with me on my socials, check out our YouTube channel, schedule a call with me, check out my different programs, and also purchase my books if you would like. So, yeah, oversightglobal.com.
I think that is cool. Well, thank you again. As
Absolutely.
always, this was so much fun. As you see, time went by like it was like so fast.
It did. It did.
So fast.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, this was a blast. Well, you take care of yourself. Don't go anywhere. I'm gonna put you in the green room. I'll be right back with you.
Sounds good.
Hey, you guys, as we talked about the importance of leadership, how it plays a part in your day to day life, especially those of us that are solopreneurs, we need it more than those that are in the leadership in corporate. With Angela talked about how where you can go, you can even connect to her. You don't even have to go look for someone to help you with the leadership, your leadership style. You can sit with her. You guys can see if you guys are a fit, how it can work out, and things like that. But note this, as I always say, you only have one life to live. Live your life to the fullest and live it for you. Be intentional about it, and also be grateful and do your gratitude or your grateful practice as I said I'm going to do. And Andrew last week, if you missed his show, you can catch it out there on all the podcast platforms. And Andrew just talked about it too, where she takes an hour out of her day, an hour every day to do that, to do the gratitude practice. And we need to do that. Again, life moves fast and the world's moving faster. So, with that being said, you guys go out here, make sure your vision is being made, and make sure you're going after your what's next, no matter what. Until next week, you all, if you need anything, you can go ahead and text me at 614-398-3925, or you can go ahead and you can DM me at Pamela Stone on Facebook and Instagram. And guess what? If you want to do a 15-minute chat on figuring out your what's next because we've been talking about it, hit me up at 614-398-3925. Until next week, everyone, have a good one. Go after your vision and make sure it's being made. Bye, everybody.